Three, two, one. This is Nick.
And this is Amanda.
And this is the Performance Plate Podcast, where we give you bite-sized bits of information based on nutrition and exercise science to improve your overall performance. Three, two, one. This is Nick.
And I'm Amanda.
And this is the Performance Plate Podcast, where we give you bite-sized bits of information based on nutrition and exercise science to improve your overall performance. And on this episode, we're going to talk about something called dichotomous thinking. Is a fancy word, the scientific word, but it's black and white thinking, all or nothing mindset. And before we truly get into this, Amanda and I want to preface and say we're not mental health therapists. We are not licensed social workers. We're not psychologists or psychiatrists. So if you are struggling with mental health, please find someone in your area or reach out to a friend who may know somebody to get yourself the help you truly need. The purpose of us talking about this is just trying to bring awareness and give you small little tips of things we talk to our patients and clients about, of how to help reframe some of their things if they're not severe, where it's outside of our scope to treat. So breaking that down, let's start with the fun question, Amanda. Where do you find that this all or nothing mindset sneaks up into your life most?
Well, I have to catch it all the time because it happens to me just like it happens to many people where, I have a program for the gym and my lifts are exciting and they're, maybe they're 45 minutes to an hour and I'm pumped for them. But right now is a really busy time for me. And I'm only able to get in 25 minutes at most right now. And I think I get in my head about that sometimes where, oh my gosh, I'm not, completing all 4 sets. I'm only doing 3 sets, or I'm not pushing weight in all these different areas, that it's not good enough. And I think in the past, like I, would have left the gym feeling like I wasn't successful. But now I am like, no, that was really great. It doesn't have to be the 45 minutes for it to be successful. That's a small way that I've found it pop up, but I have to catch myself a lot. I'll be honest.
Of course. We all do. It's one of those ones where it's tough to try and not see that, especially when you're busy. But there's where the mindfulness comes into play, where you catch yourself like, well, I did 25 minutes, that's good. That's what that's what I had time for at this moment. Right now in my life, exercising, my gym routine cannot be the number one priority to spend as much as I would like to. And that's okay.
Yes. Yeah. Where's an area that you feel like it pops up?
Same kind of aspect, but a little bit different is I always tell people I get obsessed with things very easily in a good way. Like I'm obsessed with treating the human body. I'm obsessed with the human body. That's a great thing to be obsessed about because it's based on my profession. However, when I get into like new type of exercises or new type of programs, I struggle with finding the balance of doing the old things that I loved and the new program or new type of event. And the best I could say is when I first started rock climbing, I stopped training completely, weight training. I was like, no, I just want to rock climb. And I didn't do any I would try to weight train, but I didn't want to do it. I was like, yeah, I just got to rock climb. So it was hard for me to find that balance sometimes, where now took many years. I mean, I started rock climbing, I think 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It took many years for me to find like, okay, if I want to train heavy, if I want to run a little bit, walk a little bit, and if I want to rock climb, how's it all going to fit into my schedule? And it took me time to realize that maybe I can only rock climb for 30 minutes that day because my training took 3 hours and I could only walk that day. And that's fine. And it took a very long time to break that all or nothing where, well, you know what? I'm only training today because that's all I can do. Or if I miss that workout, I'm just not going to do anything. It took me such a long time to get through that, but you can always find ways to modify and adapt to make yourself as happy as you possibly can. Now, we're not saying that there won't be times where you have to just sacrifice a little bit for what you want to do. Like if your training workout took X amount of time, let's say 3 hours, you may not have time to do the other things, but you understood that going into it. Hopefully.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I always like to repeat to myself, you can do hard things, you just can't do them all at once.
Exactly.
It's just not possible.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the biggest issues with all or nothing thinking is how it it can take something from a challenging situation to a personal crisis. So, for example, if you are having trouble working out or maybe cooking, home
Mm-hmm.
cooking,
Yeah.
it takes it from, okay, hey, I don't have a weekly grocery shopping day. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what to shop for. I don't know what to cook. Or all of it takes it from like just a challenging situation. Like these things are kind of stacked against you right now. There's certain skill sets that maybe aren't there yet
Mm-hmm.
to, oh, I'm just not that type of person. I can't do
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then you end up doing nothing at all.
Yes.
And it becomes much larger and much harder to deal with because we feel like there's something wrong with us, but really it's just, a challenging situation most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, you know, most people probably might find this conversation most applicable is, where are the changes that you're trying to make? Are
Mm-hmm.
you like approaching them with this all or nothing thinking where it's like if I can't meal prep, if I can't home cook every night this week, then I'm a failure or I'm not successful.
Yes.
Where like simply making a grocery list and going
Mm-hmm.
grocery shopping if that weekly, if that's not something that you're used to doing, is a great step in the right direction and something that's helping you build a foundational skill that's going to pay off later on.
Yes. Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
you have to look at it that way, like Amanda said, of maybe it's an uncomfortable situation. Maybe you just don't have the tools yet to figure out how to get to your endpoint, and all you're focusing is on the endpoint. And
Mm,
we kind of talk about this sometimes. You've heard it before, like people like Amanda and I do not love the new year, new me
mm.
mentality.
Yeah.
We do
Break
not.
this down.
Yeah. It's not that we don't want people to better themselves and we want people to be the best versions of themselves. But to go from this person that you are at whatever level you are in your life to this whole new encompassing person that you want to be, there's like gradations in between there. And if you're just only looking at that end goal of the new you, how the hell are you going to get there? And then you start having this thought of all or nothing. I'm going all in. I'm going to be that fit person at the beach with the six pack. People are going to be like, damn, that guy's shredded. And then you start like day one, you're motivated. Day two, you're motivated. Day three, you're like, ah, I don't know. I kind of am lost now. I'm not really sure. And it's like, all right, well, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. So screw it. I can't be that guy or person or,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? I can't be that person.
Yes.
And it's like, well, wait a
Right. And then it makes it much more frustrating and much harder to reach your goals. Where if you had maybe met yourself with where you were at, because
second.
most of us spend our time somewhere in the middle and we're
Of
usually a lot
course.
closer to success than we realize. But
Yes.
we sabotage with this type of thinking because all
Hmm.
of a sudden it's like, okay, I wasn't successful at going all out. I just can't do this at all.
Yeah.
And then we stop ourselves. And then,
Yeah.
and that's why it always takes time to, build muscle, see
Hmm.
results, heal an injury,
Yes.
get your nutrition on track, see an improvement in like any symptoms that are related to lifestyle choices. It
Hmm.
takes time to heal those things. And this is why, we have to meet ourselves where we're at and we have to um, you know, pretty much embrace the process versus
Yes.
trying to get there in a day. And
Yeah.
my my question is why do you think that this is something we see so commonly in this health and fitness space?
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
It's not so much that I want to blast on social media. I think social
Yeah.
media is this. It's a good thing because like we you can use a lot of it for education purposes. You and I both personally use it a lot for educating the masses and try and tell them like, hey, listen, this is probably what you need help with or whatever it is. So it's good in that aspect. But a lot of times you'll see like people post like if you want it bad enough, you'll make it work.
Hmm.
And they're not wrong in that aspect of saying if you want it bad enough, you'll make it work. But you have to
How are you
understand
making it work?
exactly. And
Yes.
is making it work like people take that out of context where they may
Uh,
just dive in all well, like they'll hear it and be like, well, if I want this bad enough, I need to cut off my friends. I need to not go out with them because I want to lose weight and do this and do that. And it's like, no, 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 hold on. You want it bad enough. So yes, that point where, hey, maybe I don't need to go out and get McDonald's at 3 a.m. after the bar with my friends. that may be the wanting it bad enough part of it, not
Yeah.
the I'm just not gonna go out with my friends at all because I don't want it bad enough if I go out. And it's like, that's not true, man. That's not true at all.
Yes, there's so much more to it than that. Everyone needs to listen to that clip because you said so many important things there. And I think you gave great examples too. Because again, if you take the McDonald's example, it's
Hmm.
not just that you don't want it bad enough, it's that there's other things that McDonald's is serving you. It's serving
Yes.
you socialization, you're with your
Hmm.
friends. It might be
Yes.
awkward to say no and say that you want to go home and eat a salad instead, right? Like
Yeah.
there's so many other pieces to that that need to be explored
Hmm.
and really understood before we're able to change it. And we
Yeah.
try to just change things by like powering through and not even asking ourselves why we're having trouble changing something in the first place.
Hmm. Like, do we have the tools to make this shift that you're trying to make, to level up to that next level? We don't know that. And so that all or nothing mindset gets into play because it's like, because you see it everywhere. It's like, oh, I have to sacrifice this. Oh, I have to sacrifice that. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, wait a second. There are times for sacrifice depending on what you need to do. But other times, I mean, I can give a great example for training wise too. Let's say I have a very heavy squat day. I usually squat on Mondays, and usually that's my primary squat day. So it's pretty heavy on Mondays. Sunday, I have to sacrifice sometimes of staying up late. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm in bed by like 10 o'clock, but like, I make sure that I'm asleep by 10 o'clock on Sunday. So like that can be that some people they don't consider that a sacrifice because, well, no, that's not sacrificing anything. You're just making sure no, I'm making sure that like no matter what, if I want to stay up and watch another episode of whatever show I'm watching or read another book or do this, it's like, no, I'm not doing any enjoyment. I want to be in bed by 10. And that's a sacrifice. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another aspect where we have to remember, like people are like, oh, if you want it, you got to sacrifice. Yes, but it depends. So not all sacrifice
You don't
means
have to
like
sacrifice your life and everything that you
exactly.
love. Yeah.
Yes, you don't have to do that.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like just as we're talking about this, I can think of so many other instances where I've applied this all or nothing thinking to
Hmm.
whether it be like business or my health and fitness. And just looking back at those old patterns, I'm so glad to see that they're not things that I do anymore.
Yeah, it's one where you have to like, and I can give another example. I mean, I obviously have trouble with this or had trouble with this a lot, and it's great because we were talking about this before about how when you go through a lot, you can pick it up on other people. And I remember when I was working at a clinic and this girl would always like struggle trying to lose weight, and she was like, oh hey, like, you know what, today's my cheat meal. And then it turns into like she'll have like 4 cookies after lunch because we had lunch from the manager or whatever. And then she's like, oh, it's a cheat day, it's a cheat week. And I'm like, girl, just call it what it is, man. You're gonna eat what you want to eat this week, and that's fine,
Yeah.
but like you don't have to go gun ho where it's like just completely sabotage yourself because you're like, well, I already did this one bad decision. And bad is
Right.
very quote unquote bad because there's no good or bad decision. I already made this decision that does not align with my goal to lose weight. So why not just make 1,000 more bad decisions?
Hmm. Yeah. And you feel like, then maybe you don't have the control anymore because you did something once.
Yeah.
And then it's proof to yourself, okay, hey, I can't do this, or I should
Mhm.
just give in.
Yeah.
There was a really interesting post by I can never say this, Precision Nutrition.
Yeah.
And I didn't read the study. I think it was Precision. Oh, I can't even say it. PN. We're going to call it PN.
Okay.
Let's say it. I think it was them. And it was about, or no, you know who I think it was? I think it might have been Casey Joe, who does
Hmm.
like mindset coaching for
Yeah. Yeah.
nutrition and fitness professionals.
Yeah.
Um, and it was about how you don't necessarily lose your self control. That's not the right word. Or your ability to make decisions as the day goes on. Like before, it's been preached that as the day goes on, like we become fatigued and
Yeah. Decision
we're
fatigue.
unable to really, right, exactly,
Yeah.
we're unable
Hmm.
to really decide, like, do we really want that snack, or
Yeah.
am I just exhausted from the day and we don't have the capacity to do that in the same sense that we do in the morning.
Hmm.
What she was talking about, though, and again, I didn't read the study, but it was something along the lines of we don't actually lose that control. It's we lose people that lost that control were the ones that were told
Yes.
that they lost that control as the day goes on,
Yeah.
or thought that they lost that control as the day goes on. You just
Yeah.
made me think of that when you said that.
Hmm.
But I thought it was so interesting because you are in control. We just have to like slow down and ask. And
Well, that's one of the things we want to talk about is we're not saying we can fix, like I said, we're not mental health therapists, but in the aspect of some things you can question yourself a little bit more when it gets down to that all or nothing mindset when you're noticing like, did you lose control?
right, like
But
this
like,
day is shot
yeah,
versus no,
yeah,
I can still make different decisions later on
exactly.
today.
Yeah. Like you don't have to be like, well, day's over. Let's start over tomorrow. It's like, okay, well, I clearly ate a lot of things that does not align with my goals throughout the day, and that's okay. But like now it's dinner time. What do I do? And you have to take yourself out of that mindset of pull yourself out and really break down. It's just not yes or no. There's a gray area. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I indulged all afternoon because I was at work. I got lunch treated to me. I had a great time doing it. And now, you know what? I don't feel comfortable having a heavy meal, so maybe I have a lighter meal for dinner. You can do
Mm-hmm.
that instead of just being like, well, whole day shot, it's over. Let's just leave it at that. You know what I mean?
And many people too with breakfast, right?
Yeah.
Oh, has to be healthy
Yeah,
or
yeah.
has to be, perfect, like have, you know, obviously it feels better to have protein and fiber and all of these things, and it does
Yes.
help fuel us for the day from
Yeah.
a nutrition standpoint. But there's also this mindset around like, okay, if I have something that's not healthy for breakfast, then the rest of my day is shot.
Hmm.
And I'm going to make bad decisions just because my breakfast was bad.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm saying this again because I know in the past that was me. If my breakfast
Hmm.
was bad, then the rest of my day was shot. So I'd avoid having anything that was off track, and
Yes.
in quotations, off track,
Yes.
until later on in the day because I was like, oh, it's just a spiral from there.
Hmm.
And now I could have a cookie for breakfast and still know that my lunch is going to be protein, fiber,
Yeah.
great things, and you know, different.
Sometimes you got to rush out of the door in the morning. That's what it
Right.
is. You know, you grab something, you go. Like, yes, we don't think that you should rush out and give yourself time. Amanda and I are very big on morning rituals, not rituals, habits, stuff like that. So give yourself time, but like, yeah, sometimes, you forget to set that alarm. Poof, you better get moving and you can't take the time to. And I've heard that before too, and I'm sure you have of today went downhill fast. I forgot to set my alarm. So I had a biscuit for breakfast. And then at that point, I was like, well, I already had a biscuit for breakfast. So like lunch was Chipotle. And then dinner was, I went out to dinner and ate a crap because
Yeah.
I already lost the day. So why not just like go all in on losing the day?
You know what I just thought about too, and I wonder if this would apply. I gotta go back and look at that study. Maybe we can like attach it in the show notes or something.
Hmm.
But you know how everyone we talk about morning routine, really setting yourself up for a good day.
Yeah.
You can do that at any point of your day.
Yeah.
Like say your morning that you do have to run out of the house and you're not able to do it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you won't be able to focus or pull yourself away from work and like refocus and gather your thoughts or take a walk at some point just
Yeah.
because it didn't happen in the morning. Like you still can do that later on in the day and you can still reset
Hmm.
for what you
Yes.
want maybe your afternoon to look like. And you keep like a great analogy is a football game. You have four
Mhm.
different quarters.
Yeah.
Break your day down into quarters. If you didn't win the first one,
Hmm.
try to win the second one. If you didn't
Yeah.
win the whole first half, try to win the third quarter.
Yeah. 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 It's true. And that's where one of those techniques they talk about is like one of the things you can do is you take yourself like you say, go for a walk. Bring awareness to your day. Like understand that there's like it's not black and white. There's shades of gray. Like all right, didn't win that first quarter. No biggie. How can I improve on that first quarter? How can I play defense better? How can I play offense better? What can
Mm,
we do to set myself up for a better day mentally? Because this is what the main thing of the all or nothing thinking is, and this is why we really said in the beginning, this is a disclaimer of like we're not mental health therapists, is how, and Amanda also said it's like uh I forgot the word she used, but it's like an identity crisis almost. Like maybe,
A personal crisis.
yes, maybe
Yes.
I'm not meant to be a healthy person just because I can't make
Yes.
these good decisions or whatever it is. And it's not that. That's where like it's not good or bad decisions. It's decisions that you made in the moment for X, Y, and Z reasons. Now, if you can pull yourself out of that moment of, okay, morning, it's Monday at the office and everyone loves bagels and I love bagels. I'm making this up. I don't have Bagel Monday. I mean, maybe I should do Bagel Monday. Anyway, it's Bagel Monday at the office and I love bagels. Now, are you going to let that Bagel Monday, you know it's coming, eat that bagel? You know you love Bagel Mondays. But now, when you're having if you're like, okay, you had a breakfast filled with carbs and now you're hungry at 10 a.m. because you need something because your blood sugar is going crazy and all this fun stuff, it's like, well, wait a second. Pull yourself out of that. Understand
Hmm.
why you're having that sensation of hunger and know it's from the bagel. And maybe the day's not shot where you're like, well, let me have another bagel. Maybe then you have some fruit.
Hmm.
You know?
Yes. Or some protein
Or
that's going to
yeah,
fill you up a little bit more. Yeah,
exactly. And
absolutely.
we need to get out of that thought process of, well, if it can't have it this way, that's the only way. And this is like more of a little kid thing. Like when you watch children play, I watch my nephews play, and they'll have a meltdown if things are not the way they want them. Like,
Hmm.
I want to go on the trampoline now. Well, we have to wait 10 minutes, and I don't want to go on the trampoline with you. And they'll just like freak out. And it's like, it's either the trampoline or nothing at all. And I cry for the next 3 hours,
Yeah.
you know? And like,
Yeah.
they're okay. They're excused to do that because they don't have, they're young. I don't
Right.
know
Yeah.
how old they are anymore, but they're young enough to not know that, okay, let me pull myself out of the situation and see why Uncle Nick's still
Right.
taking on the trampoline. No, that's not the case. The case, though, for us is we have that ability to be almost like a fly on the wall and look at our situation for a second
Hmm.
and understand that whenever we do something, whatever it may be, there is always going to be choices, and the choices are a wide range of choices. It's compromise can be one of the words you can use, that gray area. It's not, well, if I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to spend 4 hours there. Really?
Hmm.
But that may sacrifice something you don't want to sacrifice with maybe you had dinner plans with your significant other at that night, but you're going to sacrifice that to go to the gym. So you're like, well, I might not go at all because I want to go to the dinner plans. Well, why don't you have both? Go to the gym for 2 hours or an hour. And that's where, you know what
Or
I
a
mean?
half hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Go for a half hour. Maybe you're one of those people that takes 3 hours to get ready. Dinner's at whatever, 7, and you get done with work at 1. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, you got 30 minutes. You can get in there to do something to make yourself feel good and still enjoy the other part. But if you get wrapped up in the black or white, all or nothing mindset of, well, now I'm not going to go. I guarantee you, your whole dinner conversation that night with your significant other will probably wrap around for a little bit of like the first 10, 15 minutes of how you did not go to the gym. You don't feel good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other important thing to remember is too, no one is perfect. You
Yes.
see these people on social media posting about like their routines and what they do and successes, you don't usually see the other side of things or you don't see the full story ever. So just keep in mind that no one is perfect.
Yeah.
Like even me and Nick, we still struggle with our health and
Oh, of course.
fitness and nutrition and our mindset.
Yeah.
I think that's if you're an all or nothing, if you tend to do all or nothing thinking, like most of us do to some extent,
Hmm.
you might even find yourself applying that to uh, fixing the all or nothing thinking, right? I want to fix it.
That's
I don't want to do it anymore. I want to be perfect
yes.
at not doing all or nothing thinking.
Yeah.
It doesn't
I want to,
exist.
I want to make decisions based on the best thing, but not all or nothing decisions. And I'm going to be so good at knowing that I'm not good at all or that I'm not making all. It's true though. You're right because
Yeah.
we talked about it this weekend through text and voice messages and stuff almost of like how when you write things down, journaling some stuff, it's like, well, wait a second, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Caught
Like,
myself in a
yeah.
uh-huh.
And we're sometimes you get in a little bit of a tizzy, but yeah, like Amanda said, we're nowhere near perfect. I'm
Right. No
human
one
at the end of the
is.
day. I make a lot of mistakes. I've done a lot of introspective work to try and be better, but I can guarantee you that there's days where I'm like, I already had 7 cookies. What's 10 more? And I don't even have a sweet tooth. So that's when it's like, well, he's just going all out.
No, I hear you. And I, like I said, I pops up for me all the time in different areas too. And I think the only, like, all we have to do is just get curious about it, remove the judgment, understand that everyone deals with this to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And perfection does not exist anywhere on this earth. So
Nope.
good luck
And
trying to find it.
well, but that's a huge factor, like to kind of bring it full circle of all or nothing is a lot of it comes down to perfection.
Hmm.
Like without getting too much into perfectionism, but a lot of it comes down to perfection because, well, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be perfect at it. And then it's like, well, I'm all or nothing. Like if I'm gonna bodybuild, I'm gonna be the perfect bodybuilder, which means I have a very clean diet. I never have my cheat meals unless I'm told by my coach. I hit every single workout. I don't hang out with friends. You know what I mean? Like that's one of those things where it's
Hmm.
like, wait a second, you don't have to think that way. You don't have to be perfect at everything because nobody is. But then if you understand that, then you don't get those lows of lows that people go through because it's like, well, I want all this stuff. Why can't I have it? Because you're getting caught. I forget who told me it. It was either my business coach, maybe it was you. I don't even remember. It's like we all get everybody knows where they want to be and they'll do everything to get there, but they get lost in the middle somewhere. So like they know how they know they want to get to the other side of the mountain. However, they full speed jump all or nothing off that mountain without building any type of ramp, any type of bridge to try and get there and just fall in the middle and just get stuck in the void.
Hmm. Hmm.
Where if we can take it down to steps of like, okay, I know I want to look the best I've ever looked at 45 years old. Okay, where do I start? Maybe start with, like you said, grocery shopping.
And I'll be honest, the clients that get the absolute best results are the ones that remove a timeline from anything.
Yes, 100%.
Forget the gear, forget the birthday, forget the vacation. I know that's what no one wants to hear, but
Hmm.
you can't predict one number one physiology, right? Basic physiology. Everyone's coming from a different standpoint. And
Yeah.
this is again solely coming from like a dietary standpoint, but everyone has past dieting history, everyone has different things that are going on, and they all determine how well you're going to respond to something.
Hmm.
And you also don't know what, maybe aren't aware of current self-sabotaging behaviors or current
Yeah.
food or exercise relationships, like all things that take time to
Yeah.
work through.
Yes.
And they don't have a timeline,
Yeah. It's true. Once you remove it, the timeline gets you into that all or nothing mindset.
right?
So once again, to bring it full circle, to summarize everything we're talking about here is remember there's always steps to get to that final destination. However, you're going to struggle with moments of all or nothingness where it's just this or that, this or that. Now, truly, do you need to make that decision? This or that. Like, yeah, maybe there is a time where it's like, do I take my mom to the mall or do I not take my mom to the mall? All right, whatever. That's a simple decision. But like the end goal thing is always there. That all or nothing mindset. You need to figure out, is it truly, do I want to be this thing and how I'm going to get there to help yourself not get caught up in the, well, I already lost today, so screw it. Like, and then I lost this whole week, so maybe I'll start next week. And then I lost that whole week, so maybe I'll start in 4 weeks. Or when I finally hit this goal, then I'll start there. It's like, no, maybe start small, get yourself out of that. Think of shades of gray, of all gradations of how to get to where you need to go.
Hmm. Absolutely. And just remember that perfect does not exist.
Exactly. There's no such thing as perfectionism. Not even Amanda and I, even though we talk about this stuff a lot, we just do a lot of introspective work. But every day we struggle just like the rest of you with all of
Right.
nothing, figuring out how to just make it through with those things. So thank you for listening. Thanks again, Amanda, for another wonderful conversation. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, please rate us, review us, share it, tell your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, comment anything you like us to talk about as well. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks, Nick.